Susan Roberti, and welcome, welcome. Let's talk tail waggers. Susie's here today. Always has an interesting, lots of wonderful things to talk about. But before we get started, I would like to say thank you to my cameraman. Thank you, sir. You know, BPTV's all volunteers, and you are more than welcome to come up and do a show, learn how to do cameras, or just come up and pay a visit. But I think there's lots of you out there that would like to do a show, and it's nothing to be frightened of. And if you come up to the station and talk with our executive director, Dave, and tell him what your ideas are, and you'd be surprised. They come true. So now, Susie and I are going to talk about summer. And we are very fanatical about the dogs, and kitty cats too, and whatever. But it's the dogs. And we love them and adore them. And they will go anywhere with you. And that's what breaks my heart. Because I'll be walking down the street or driving in the car, and I look out the window and I see someone yanking and pulling. And it really does. They don't know when you're yanking and pulling what you want them to do. Dogs listen to what you want them to do. So it's a good thing to spend time in your front yard or backyard with a leash and teach them the word come, and always talk, right, Suze? Mm-hmm. Always talk. Always talk to them when you're out for a walk. But this show has always been about water. Water, 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 water. You have to give your poochie water when you're walking them. Lots of water in the house, because they really, in the summertime, desperately need liquid. And I really don't think when I see people walking them and yanking them, and their little tongues are hanging out, that they realize when a dog pants, it needs fluid. And so if you could find something to carry a little bottle of water. You don't have to have them drink it and stop and all that. If you take your hand and put some liquid there and go like this on its little tongue, so they don't perspire like human beings do. They perspire through their tongue. And by panting, they cool themselves off. And they really go through the water. They truly and truly do. So please, if you know, water, water, water. And what's your thought on that, Suze?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thanks for having me back on the show.
We love having you.
Well, I love being here because you and I got together, it's been a good 6 years now. Mm-hmm. And I'll just briefly mention our fund down at the Washington Area Humane Society. Yes. If you're planning on adopting and you're a veteran, you can adopt at no charge. Susie and I worked on that for years. It's called Pets for U.S. Vets. But if you do get a dog, Susie's right. Water is the most important thing right now. Water and shade. I see it all the time. Dogs walking in the middle of the afternoon. Big black dogs walking down the sidewalk. And they're drooling. And people are jogging. You know, that's fine if you're a runner and you want to be out jogging in 85-degree weather. But your dog doesn't want to be doing that. And when you see them drool, they're just dehydrating. You know, they're losing their fluids.
And what hurts me so much in my heart of hearts is that they will go wherever you go and do whatever you want them to do.
I'm glad you opened the show up like that, because that's exactly it. They would die on a trail with you just to be with their owners. And you have to be prepared if you're going to take them out. What time of day would you suggest?
I would like early morning and then in the cool of the evening.
Not 2 and 3 in the afternoon.
No, not noon. And 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when it's
really bad.
Yeah, really hot. And when they're walking on the road, this is another thing Susie and I worry about.
We
is
worry.
Their pads.
Mm-hmm.
People think they're invincible, and they're not.
They think they're like shoes, but they're skin, and they burn.
And they burn. And when you're walking them on a road and the heat is coming up through their pad, up their leg, and then if you have a big old black dog, which the sun just radiates and they absorb the heat so quick, then you have the heat coming down on them and their temperature rises so very quickly. And it hurts them.
You have to get them out of the heat, and you have to put cold packs on them and get them to an emergency hospital right away if your dog starts to stumble. But you can just avoid that by, like what Susie just said, is walking them early in the morning. You can take them out to pee during the day, but no walks until evening again.
I see them walking their dogs, and the dog keeps going off the road onto the grass. And that's where they want to walk because the temperature is so much cooler on the grass than it is on the road. And please, with all of our hearts, with my heart, if you only knew how uncomfortable they are.
And nobody wants to hurt their dog. If they're out walking them, chances are they really do love their dog because they're out walking their dog.
Sure.
But they just don't understand. A lot of people, I've stopped people, and I know you have too, and I try to say it in a nice way, but could I offer you some water? And your dog seems to be lifting his feet an awful lot, like he's being burned on the concrete.
And you can, or on the road.
On the asphalt's bad.
On the asphalt.
If you put your hand down.
I say, if you take your shoe off and you put your foot on the road and you can't hold it there, then please don't walk your dog, because they will go anywhere for you, and they'll go through creeks and over rocks and over mountains and whatever. They just want to be with you, right?
Right. That's their main objective in life, is to do what you want them to do. So they will walk on hot asphalt for you.
Yeah, they will.
And they will burn their feet for you.
Let's see, on hot...
Well, what about people that leave them in cars while they go in the grocery store? And I just saw on the news that Pennsylvania is not one of the states where it's legal to actually break a window, although I would break a window if I saw a child or a dog dying inside of a car, and I would just take the penalty. But there are, I think, about 10 states now in the U.S. that it's legal to bust the window open, because hundreds of dogs die every single year.
As do children.
Yeah, they're saying upwards to 40 kids a year are dying.
The parents forget they're back there.
Or they run into a store. Or,
yeah.
And they say, I'll be in there a minute. But if it's 90 degrees outside, within 15 minutes, within 10 minutes, it goes up 50 degrees, or 15 degrees. I've got my...
Well, dogs lose their water in 24 hours. And that is very dangerous. I mean, it's just like gone.
Well, you can imagine how you feel if you don't drink for a few hours during the day when it's this hot. So if they're in a car, and even if you have the windows cracked, a couple inches, if it's 90, within 10 minutes it's going to be 105.
And please don't take them in the summertime to the grocery store because
it's not
they want to go. You can take them in the car and go bye-byes.
Yeah, go for a nice cool ride for ice cream or something.
Yeah, or their little heady sticking out and having a good time. But just always tell yourself that they want to please you. They want to go with you. And you just have to take a second and say, gee, is this going to be good for my guy? You know, is it real? Is it going to be a girl? Is it going to be okay? In South Park, sometimes I think, oh my God. And I'm not a prude, but when I see somebody dragging a dog and not saying a word or calling it stupid, you know, it isn't stupid. It's just if you would take it home and teach it to walk on with you on the leash, then you'll have a best friend forever. And,
You know what I like about your show, and I've always liked about your show, is that no matter what we're talking about, your main message has always been to be kind to the animals. And this is a big example of being kind.
It's true.
And I know when I go on a walk, I brought my pack with me
Yes.
today. This, you need something like this to go on a walk. My friend Marcy bought me this 100 years ago. And I don't know, it was a long time ago. But it has, you know, a couple water bottles that you would put in it. And just, one says people water, but one says pet water. But they're so old, they're worn off. And then inside, I have a nylon bag that I put the water in. So you've got that. It's called the Outward Hound. And I've got plenty of
Isn't
hounds.
that dear?
I love it. And then, of course, I take, you always want to take your poop bags with you because you
Yeah.
don't want to leave that behind. And
And you know, people are really getting good at that.
They
picking
are.
up their
I do see a lot of people picking up.
Where I live on my street, they're like super cool.
Well, another thing you might want to take is a safe, like a first aid kit in here too. Take maybe a snake bite, you know, thing
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Because if you're out walking in the summer, I saw a big black snake with his head up about 2 inches from my ankle the other day. So I just scurried along. I'm like, okay,
As you see this bag,
this is
this
a nice
is
bag.
Susie's walk.
And this
Now,
straps around my
if
back.
you go up to the pet store, they have little leashes and they have little bowls that snap onto the leash. So it never comes off. All you have to do is set it down on the ground and have water and, you know, pour. They're coming out with so many cool things for dogs, you know, to have water.
I just saw something new the other day. They're little nylon foot boots that have coolant,
Oh,
like a little
God.
cooling pad for dogs to wear.
If you can get them to wear it, though.
Yeah, they're hard to.
Most of them
Yeah.
don't appreciate that. They like their feet being
They'd rather
free.
be home on a hot day, laying in their bed.
Yeah, and I think talking to your dog when you're taking a walk is very important to let him know that he's a part of your walk. You know?
Right. You
And
wanna
I mean, not blah, 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 blah. Just, you know, good dog, come, you know, things like that. So he knows where am I supposed to be, what am I supposed to be doing, and then you enjoy that walk.
Well, yeah, because they do understand what you're talking about.
do.
I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, animals are dumb." Well, no, it's humans that
They're
are
dumb.
There are no dumb animals. It's just the way that we interact with them. And like you said, we need to talk to them and just say we're going on a little walkies and, you know, let
Yeah.
them walk in the grass, in the shade. We need shade. Don't leave your dog outside.
It's so important. I wish I could have one of those big foghorn hickeys, you know,
And just go.
ride down the road.
I'll drive, and you stand on back and yell, "Water! Give your dog
Because
water!"
If you could just see them, how sad they are, you know.
I'm glad that you dedicate a whole show to this because this is one of the main killers of our pets
Yep.
and our children and
They have heart
grandchildren.
attacks. They come home and you go to bed at night and they lay down and have a heart attack.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they, you know,
Dehydration.
They're dehydrated, and it's just that you can have so much fun with them if you just spend a little bit of time explaining to them what you would like them to do, and that's with patience and love and repetition. And once you break through and get one word that you understand, he understands, then you're on your way.
Yeah, it's just that bond.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think I may have told you this before, but I was walking out at the Washington Mall. Like, it's closed down now, so you can just kind of walk around there. And Jimmy and I, my husband, we saw a dog in a car, and it was so hot that day. We were done walking because it was just way too hot anymore, and it's just the two of us. But there was a Doberman Pinscher, an older one, had a little bit of white muzzle, stuck in a car, and the windows weren't even cracked. And he was laying on the seat, and I opened the door. It wasn't locked. And I opened it and just held it open enough, and he was so
That's some
thankful.
fresh air.
And we stood there, and I held the door open, not knowing this Doberman Pinscher, but I held the door about this far, and he was thankful. And then I saw his owner come out of the liquor store. So I waited for her, and I said, you know, your dog was dying in here. He was like laying on the floor. His tongue was out. She said, well, I was only going to be in there for a few minutes, and I know it's hot. And I said, but what if you would have had a heart attack or something would have happened to you while you were away, and somebody rushed you to the hospital? Your dog, you know, was really getting sick in there.
Yeah.
And I know I made her feel bad, but I was
They
glad that
are-
I made her feel bad.
They are a responsibility. A big responsibility. I didn't set the timer, so when I have to stop, let me know. They're such a responsibility, but a wonderful responsibility. You know, that's the way I feel.
I think it's a blessing when you have animals, and I think it's a gift from God that you are meant to take care of them, and that's my lot in life, is
And there's
taking
nothing
care.
like coming home from work and opening the door and
Mom's home. It's like,
and then
whoa.
you can go down the cellar steps and go out the back door, walk up around the house, and
Oh,
open the front door. and
Mom's
say,
home again. They've been gone forever, and now
Yes,
they're back.
they're wonderful.
Oh, I just
Yes, and pulling them along, that just, and yanking and telling them that they're stupid. And I see that quite a bit in the park, and the little thing or sits there and looks like, well, what do you want me to do?
They're just waiting.
And that voice that you're giving them is that they're bad, you know, and they just sit.
yeah.
They don't know, they have no idea what you want them to do.
There are no bad dogs. I really believe that. There may be a couple cases of dogs that were
They're born with
mental
bad brains.
Yeah. But other than that, there are no bad dogs. I've worked in shelters, volunteering for years, and I could take every dog out for a walk. It's just a matter of, like what you said, is talking to them and telling them in a nice, kind voice, I'm going to, you know, take you for a little walk, and we're going to have fun and give them a treat. But don't use your animals as scapegoats.
Yeah.
You know, you've had a bad day. Don't drag your dog along on a run on 95-degree weather.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. That's another thing that I see them doing too. If you're going to go for a run and it's very hot out, please don't take them, because it's so hard. It's so very hard on them to try to keep up, and they want to be with you. Remember that always.
That is the main thing.
Yeah, and bird baths, any standing water,
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
yes, is very dangerous in the summertime. And the only way I can say it is that if you have a bird bath and the birds come over and sit there and they poop in the water, that if your dog or any dog would happen to get up there and drink that, there is very dangerous disease that birds carry, and your dog, by the time evening comes, will be dead. And it destroys their intestines and their bowel.
And you don't know what those wild birds might be carrying.
Exactly. So it's very important. I had my business for 30 years, and I heard many sad stories about how their dog got out, went across the street and had a drink, in the ladies' bird bath, and died that night.
Well, we've both been dog groomers for our whole lives, and
yeah.
and we've heard many stories of.
Yeah.
Another story doesn't have to quite do with water, but now that you mentioned stories coming up, people will say, "My dog never leaves the yard," and so many times I had customers come into my grooming shop and their dog was 14 years old, we don't know why she left the yard and she got run over.
I
Well,
do.
yeah, I think I do too, because, you know, they get older and you can't really trust a dog not to
No.
leave the yard
No,
because
they can't see, they can't hear, and they're getting senile at 14, 13, 14, and you should be with them.
yeah, you cannot let them outside.
Unless your yard's fenced, you know.
And even
common
then,
sense would
with
tell you.
like my Ruby, she's 14, my Basset, even though the yard's fenced and everything, I always keep an eye on her. The other day, she went outside, and within 5 minutes, she wasn't back in, so I ran out. And there she was sitting on the steps because she can't see very well, so she didn't want to come down the steps. So I'm just always watching. You know, if it's
Yeah.
like a minute I don't see her,
Yeah,
you know, I'm watching,
yeah.
make sure she's not stuck in a corner.
She's a grand old girl.
She's a
Susie
sweetie.
has 2 young males, and then she has the
Brats.
queen. And oh boy, does she let them 2 have it.
She's in charge of those boys, and it's the funniest thing.
It is
She's a
funny.
small Basset.
and it's
um,
funny.
it is.
really is.
She gives them the stink eye, and they
Yeah.
just, she doesn't have to say much. But yeah, you just got to have common sense this time of year, especially with the heat and the humidity.
It really makes me. It really makes me so sad when I see this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would take time and go out and down to the park and just sit on a bench, not with your dog, but
Mm-hmm.
sit on the bench and watch.
Just observe.
Yeah, and then you would begin to see this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and understand that they just want to be a part of your life. They want,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but there's just people that don't have patience, think they're a stupid dog, dumb dog, and
You know what else,
true.
too, with being groomers, I know you and I always talk about checking the toe pads,
yeah, and toenails.
toenails, because if their toenails are long, they're not seating right
Mm-hmm.
on the ground. They're on their toe pads where they should be. Their nails are touching, and it can actually break the bones
Mm-hmm. Yes,
in their
plus there's
feet.
a cuticle that goes around the toenail, just like on ours, but ours don't go all the way around. And if that cuticle, when they're walking, gets pulled here, under here, and gets opened, then infection can go
Infection.
in, and then they get blood poisoning and get very, very ill. So toenails are very, very important.
Well, being groomers, and I'm coming back to that, we have found between you and I probably thousands of things going on animals that people don't see because of the hair. So the hair is covering the foot. They don't see the toenails are curled under and growing into the bottom, so they're dragging them down on hot asphalt with bad nails.
And your toenails grow
Toenails.
under.
They-
That when they come in and they,
And you know, you have to check your pet over every day.
Yeah.
You have to check from front to back, and so don't be squeamish about feeling all around because ticks are bad this year.
oh, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up. That the ticks are really super bad because they say we didn't have a bad enough winter. But when I had Dr. Volz,
Dr. Vols, yeah.
yeah, he was on, and he said it doesn't matter what kind of winter you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said because they just lay in wait.
And they just stand on the grass. He said to
Or
keep
on
your
a blade.
Yeah, on a blade of grass.
Yeah, anywhere, on a weed, anything.
And then,
yeah. yeah.
but yeah, that's a good thing. I think is to check your pet every day too.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, or if you have a good groomer, a gentle groomer, you want to keep up
Well,
regular.
if you get in habit of if you go walking in the woods now, if you cut your grass in the back and that, you usually keep them gone, pretty much gone. But if you go for a walk in the woods and you come home and just pick the one foot up and look and check and rub and do the other ones, and then start up the back of the legs and up the legs and up the shoulder, and just do one part of the dog at a time so you don't get confused on what you checked
Yeah.
and what you didn't check. And make sure that they don't have any, because Lyme disease gives them a disability that is very, very traumatic for them. And arthritis, and eventually death from it. So,
You know, this is gross. I'm going to say this though, but I've opened up dogs' mouths because I like to check their teeth, and I've found ticks up in the gum line.
Yeah, well, why not? They go up there to drink.
Yeah, so check your dog's mouth. You want
Yeah.
to pull the mouth back. Because while they're sniffing while you're on a walk, ticks can go up there.
Please.
There's a little crease in the ear where the ear folds. There's a little flap. If you look there, I found ticks in there.
Yeah.
I found ticks on myself.
Yeah.
Because,
I do too.
yeah, when
I
you're
go
out.
when I go for a walk up in the park.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
they'll
very
stick to
careful.
you.
I make sure I tuck my pants down in, but they're on your shoe, and check your shoes before you come in too.
Well, summertime's great, but there is a lot of there's a lot to consider with your animals during summertime. So you want the water. That's the main thing. The water and the shade. You don't want your dog burning out in the yard.
Yes, and please don't tie them out.
Don't tie them. Oh, nobody should ever tie a dog out for any extended period of time.
I had a lady that lived on my street. She moved away, thank heavens. But she'd tie her dog outside, and then the sun would move around, and it would be right on that dog.
Cooking him.
Yep. And there was no way, no place, no how until the sun moved,
It's a horrible life for dogs, and
Yes.
that's a good thing to bring up because dogs should not be tethered. They don't live like that. They're pack animals, and they just want to be with their owners.
I know, but when you have a neighborhood, you have, there's the leash law, and you do have to have them on a leash.
On a leash, yeah, but not to live on a chain.
No, no. I'm just talking. She'd take it outside, Oh, he loves to be outside, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you don't have a yard and you have to tie him out to go pee or something like that, but no more than 10 minutes.
Well, if there's any sun on him, just get him out.
Yeah.
And bring him in.
Bring him back in the air conditioning
because sun is death to them.
Those little swimming pools are kind of nice for dogs
Yeah.
too. Those little kid swimming pools are good to have.
I know we had them for our dogs.
We can't use ours anymore because my Hoppy is very protective of his pool, and he won't let anybody else in. So I told him if you're just going to stand there by yourself, what's the point? But he likes to get his feet cool. But when he's in, nobody else is allowed in.
Yeah. Sometimes if you have a spritz bottle too, or just take your hand, if you're out in the back and by the garage and turn the water on and, cup some water and moisten them and anything that you can do to make them comfortable because they want to be with you, and that is all there is that they want to love you, be with you, please you.
So you have to use common sense
Yeah.
with these guys, and when you check them over after you do take a walk in the morning or late in the evening, they love that. It's like a massage, and it's a way for you to bond with your dog.
It's funny.
Yeah, because you take their ears and you're feeling for ticks and that, and it just brings you closer to your dog.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a long time to do that. And it's your responsibility to do that.
It is, and it's going to be a hot summer. In fact, today is going to be the first day of summer.
I know.
I don't know what time it comes in.
It was the
but
longest day.
it's the longest day.
Yes. Remember your humane societies. Very important. Remember, if you do go down to the Washington Area Humane Society, give a donation to the cause. And my new, what is it called?
South Hills Pet Rescue.
South Hills Pet Rescue.
They are so cool.
Absolutely, positively love them. Went and visited them. I had the young man on here twice, which I want to have him on soon. Wonderful place. Wonderful, wonderful, loving, giving place. So that's my new mission. Is South Hills Pet Rescue. So like always, I want to say I love you. And thank you for all the dear and sweet things that you say to me when I see you. But most of all, thanks from all the tail waggers.